Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Kelsey and I am a 5th year homeschooling mom to 3 kids ages 10, 6, and 1. And today I want to share with you my favorite and least favorite curriculums that we have used throughout our homeschooling journey. So let's get into it. I have been really excited to make this video for you guys. I know a lot of you are like me and either you homeschool year round or you just really like to get a jump start on things for next year. So I'm excited to share with you some of our hits and some of our misses that we have encountered over the last several years that we have been homeschooling. So I'm first going to start with our favorites and then go to our least favorites. I'm not going to do like full reviews of each of these. I just want to give a few pros and maybe a few cons to some of them and maybe some reasons why it might work for you and maybe it might not work for you. Okay, so for sure my favorite curriculum that we have used is all about reading. So sorry I'm outside, so the birds are like going crazy. So all about reading was one that really started when my son, who has neurodiversity, was really having trouble using the other reading programs, curriculums that we tried over the course of 2 years. This was kind of a last-ditch effort. It was expensive, it was out of my budget, but I did what I had to do to get it. I ended up getting it on eBay. And I had seen a couple other videos where people said to not let your kids color in it and just kind of cut them out and put them in sleeve protectors, and so you can use them with other kids in the future. And so that's what I did, and so it worked beautifully for my son. He ended up using levels 1 through 4 and he is doing well, definitely at grade level now, maybe even higher. I don't really know. I don't really, we kind of just assign reading based on interest and grade level. So he's been doing really well with this. I started Sing, Spell, Read, and Write with my son at the end of preschool, and he's done okay with it, but honestly he was getting it was becoming kind of monotonous. And so I pulled out our All About Reading because I already had it, and honestly I thought it was maybe going to be a little bit too slow for him because, I think it's more, it's very systematic in the way that they do it. It is the Orton-Gillingham, hopefully I'm saying that correctly, method, and I feel like that works really, really well for children with, dyslexia and neurodiversity, things like that. And I was a little bit worried it would be too slow-paced or too, not work well for my son who's neurotypical. But actually, we ended up completely doing away with Sing, Spell, Read, and Write about, I don't know, halfway through the year, and he has solely been doing All About Reading since October, and he's about halfway through. So he'll definitely finish this up in the beginning of 1st grade and then move on through the other levels, and he is doing really well with it. So I know that maybe to some of you who are just beginning or maybe have a really low budget, this might seem really expensive, but I promise it's worth it, and I promise you can use it for multiple children. I will be able to use this with all of my kids, and I'm really excited about that. So my other favorite is Bob Jones University Math, or BJU Math as we call it. And another thing that I kind of steered away from just because it's more on the traditional side of math. But after trying literally 5 or 6 math curriculums in my son's 2nd grade year, we finally landed on BJU Math, and we have not looked back. I'm actually got a miss on my kindergartner for this year for his math, and he will be using BJU next year as well. One gripe I hear about people say is that BJU Math is expensive. It can be if you are doing like the teacher videos where you have to purchase all of this stuff. Yes, it can be. If you purchase just their package, even for homeschool ed, it can be because you're getting tests and review and all of that stuff. We don't use any of that. We literally just use the workbooks, and I sparingly use the teacher's manual. I get the workbooks new, and then I get the teacher manuals used. So for math, every year we've spent no more than $50. So compared to all the other maths out there, that's about in range or even cheaper, and we use all of our own manipulatives and everything like that. So if you have manipulatives, those are things that you should have really on hand anyway if you're a homeschooler, especially with young children doing math. I think BJU Math is awesome and we love it. We're using it next year for my son for year 4 math and for my son who's going into 1st grade for year 1 math. So I have to be honest about this next one. I was a little apprehensive about doing this one. I was really trying to think, is there a curriculum that I have used for several years, that I plan to use for several years with both of my children, all of my children? And there was only one other one that comes to mind, but I have to warn you that I am still very much in the new boyfriend phase with this curriculum, meaning we have not used it long enough for me to say that this is my all-time favorite curriculum or anything like that, but it is one that I will mention because I wanted to see if it worked for my son. So I really feel like it, you know, bridged a gap from my son having difficulty expressing himself, communicating in writing. And he loves to write. He loves to write books. He says he wants to be an author. He wants to do all of these things. And so I felt like it was really important to find a good writing curriculum for him. And so this year we started with Essentials in Writing. By the end of the year, we were using IEW's Bible Heroes. Now, a lot of people will say that this is more for like a first or second grade level, but I really believe that this was a really good starting point if your child is completely new to writing. Maybe start this in 3rd or 4th grade, and it works really, really well. Now, I will also say we are not going to finish Bible Heroes. My whole goal of this year was to just see if it worked for us, if he liked it, if he did well. It was only $30 and I only had to get the $10 DVD to kind of help me teach it. And so I really feel like it was a very good investment, and it really helped us kind of like ease into IEW, especially because it can kind of be overwhelming if you're new to it. And so we loved it so much. So I already purchased Structure and Style for him next year. So Mr. Poudoua will be teaching him writing, but he really, really enjoyed this. And so I really think that when my son, who's in kindergarten going into 1st grade, when he gets into about 3rd grade, we will go ahead and do Bible Heroes with him because we really enjoyed this year. It was really a great introduction to writing. The thing that I love about it is that it is great for kids, especially boys, who have trouble communicating their thoughts on paper. They think they have to reinvent the wheel, and IEW teaches you that no, you do not. It has a checklist so you know exactly what's expected of you. It is just perfect for someone like my oldest who really needs someone to break it down for him. I'm the same way, and so really love IEW. All right, so let's get into my least favorite curriculums that we have tried. There are some that have just not worked for us, and you know, maybe I only used it for a few weeks and it wasn't even really a curriculum. It was just kind of maybe like a workbook or something like that. But there are 2 curriculums that come to mind that I am saying I will never use again. And the first one is The Good and the Beautiful Science. There's gonna be somebody that is triggered by that, but it's true. My kids and I were really into animals. We were watching a lot of Nat Geo, and so I had always been itching to try The Good and the Beautiful, right? I feel like that happens to all of us, you know. It's happened to me numerous times with The Good and the Beautiful. But so I went with their Mammals, which is like their most popular. People that have done every single Good and the Beautiful Science say that Mammals is their favorite. I'm sorry, I don't understand it. I don't get it. It felt very much like a unit study, but without the fun. It was very dry. I had to add in a lot of my own stuff. I had to add in, you know, the only thing I liked about The Good and the Beautiful Science, Mammals, that's the only one that we did that I can speak on, was the Mammals. But specifically the videos, we really enjoyed the videos. But as far as like the activities and the little games, things like that, they were just kind of like, my kids just weren't really into them. It just felt like an unnecessary step. It didn't really help them learn. There was one where they had to like race each other, and they enjoyed that. But you know, here's my thing. If I am having to add in all of my own experiments, if I'm having to add in all of my own books, if I'm having to add in all of my own elements of a unit study, I can do that in a much cheaper way than having to purchase a whole curriculum. We also like to only do unit studies for a month or so. My kids tend to get a little bit bored if they're doing the same topic over and over again for half a school year, or even for 6 or 7 weeks, however long that it took. We only got about, I would say, a month in, and I ended up finding an alternative. It is a Teachers Pay Teachers store. She has some freebies and then some paid. and it actually correlates with the Good and the Beautiful. So she also had like some mammal journals. I ended up purchasing those, and we kind of finished off our mammal unit study using our own books and things like that. Again, I know there's gonna be people out there who are like, well, you didn't do it right, or what do you expect, or whatever. We didn't like it. We won't be using the Good and the Beautiful Science again, but if you want something where the units are kind of done for you, where you can pull the information from, I highly recommend that Teachers Pay Teachers store. Like I said, I think it perfectly correlates with the Good and the Beautiful Science. So if you are someone who has already purchased the Good and the Beautiful Science and you want to get your money's worth out of it, might be a good option. We just didn't like it. It was dry, it was boring. We ended up creating our own unit studies for the remainder of the year, and we used some of, sorry, my nose really itches. And we ended up using our own unit resources for the rest of the year. So, the Good and the Beautiful Science. All right, the other definite miss this year, one I will never use again, Crafty Classroom, Interactive Math K. Now, I have used several things from the Crafty Classroom. We've used their paragraph writing, my son really enjoyed. We've used a lot of their freebies and things like that we've really liked. I did not like Interactive Math K. It wasn't so bad that it was like the other ones where I maybe like tossed it and we did without. We are still continuing to use it. Honestly, just because I don't want to have to purchase another math curriculum this year when I know what we're using next year. I know he'll transition flawlessly into BJU Math. The thing about the Crafty Classroom, first of all, you're paying $25 for the PDF, which is fine. I paid to have mine printed, so it cost like maybe another $25, and I had it hole punched so I could put it in a binder. So I just pull out like a week's worth at a time. The pros of this, which can also be cons, is that there is no teaching. There's zero teaching in this curriculum, which is kindergarten math, right? So it's not like you really need a giant teacher's manual or anything like that. It kind of gives you a little bit of freedom, but if you're a beginning homeschooler, this may not be a good curriculum for you at all, because I think I would have been a little like, what? If I was teaching kindergarten math for the very first time as a beginning homeschool mom, I don't think it would have gone well for me. I really needed someone to hold my hand, still kind of do, but zero teaching. So it's good on some levels because it allows you a ton of flexibility, but again, that could be either a pro or a con depending on what type of homeschooling parent you are and what type of child you have, especially if you have a child that, like, particularly with my oldest, he only understands math in certain explanations. So if you explain it to him one way, he may not get it, but if you explain it to him another way, it like totally clicks and he's good to go. So again, pro and con to not having any type of teaching in there. The other thing that drove me absolutely insane about Interactive Math K was the amount of typos and things like that. Just simple, fixable mistakes in this curriculum. Now again, I paid $25. $25 is not a ton of money. I threw away 10 or 12 sheets that were completely unusable. We just could not use them whatsoever. Also, if I am paying money, I paid $25 to buy it and $25 to print it. I spent $50 overall on this curriculum. Having to throw away more than a couple of sheets of paper because the page was just totally unusable is extremely frustrating. There were other times where they would have like little graphics or clip art and the kids had to count them, and then, you know, like 9 pencils, take away 2 pencils, and they would put an X on the pencils. Well, there was like 11 pencils. There wasn't 9 pencils, there was 11. So when he marked out 2 and his answer was 9, I mean, it's just silly little things like that that can just, on the day-to-day, being a homeschool mom with multiple children, can just frustrate the absolute crap out of you. And so again, it's not a huge issue, but it seemed like every other day or every other week we had some issue with one of our worksheet pages. The other aspect is that I just didn't understand or appreciate the order in which they taught things. So there was no handwriting of numbers 0 to 10, absolutely none in there. On the day one, they were immediately expected to be able to write their numbers, which I think for kindergarten is a little ridiculous. I also didn't understand why they were subtracting and adding numbers within 20 when they had not mastered numbers within 10. Sometimes it just felt very Common Core to me, which I was not a huge fan of. I don't particularly like some of the math curriculums out there that are so gentle and easy that it's not challenging to my children, and I don't like some of the ones out there that are so challenging that they're doing multiplication in 1st and 2nd grade. I wanted something in the middle, and I thought that this would be a good choice. It was affordable, and I thought that, you know, if we liked it, my daughter could use it, or any other kids that we might have could use it because it was printable and it was a PDF. But I think I'm just gonna stick with BJU from now on, and I'm not going to push my luck on any other. I think I made the wrong choice. I didn't want to be married to a curriculum. That's the bottom line. I did not want to be married to a curriculum for math. That's happened to me before with the Good and Beautiful, and we've gotten 2 or 3 years into it and just completely hated it, and I did not want to do that again. So I wanted something that was kind of neutral, that would kind of teach him everything he needed to know for kindergarten math, and this seemed like a good fit, and we are finishing it up. But some days I just see the work and I'm like, nope. And we just skip that page and go to another one or whatever. Okay guys, that is it. I hope you enjoyed this. Please let me know down in the comments if you agree or disagree, respectfully, with any of these curriculums. I hope you guys are having a good end of your school year. I know we only have a few weeks left, so I'm so excited to hear from you guys down in the comments. Thank you so much for watching this video. Make sure to give it a big thumbs up and subscribe if you have not already, and I will see you next time.